Vegan.
1, 2,
3. Welcome to the Vegan123 show with me, Berty Justice. My guest today is Ross Mayhew. Ross is a musician and he's also a vegan volunteer and a vegan activist. Say hello, Ross.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
No, you're welcome. You're welcome, and thank you for coming on the show. So, because Ross is a musician, we're going to integrate quite a bit of his music in today's show. And the first track by Ross is Talking Vegan Blues.
Well, I woke up with the vegan blues, 'cause the animals are being killed for clothes and food. They're being starved and slaved, because as man we have no shame. For every creature upon the earth has the right to be free, to live and die by the natural laws, not because a man draws his sword. You might look at me as a preacher boy, telling to you what shouldn't be, but if you looked into what is done, you would join the vegan revolution. No one species more important than another, we're all the same, sister and brother. You have no right to kill for fun and gain, there's no pleasure in creating pain. You might say, well, it's a cruel world, but it's that attitude that makes it so. You could improve so many lives, but you're stuck believing what's wrong is right. How would you like it if I took from you your mother, your brother, and your sister too? Killed them all for a penny of free, paid no respect to their right to be free. Stopped the mistreatment of all on earth, of man, mammal, fish and bird. But all the creatures, great and small, live for life and that is all. I don't want the animals to be skinned, I don't want to take milk from the cow, don't take honey from the bee. I want every living thing to be free. You know, but it's the right thing to do, 'cause the animals are just like me and you. They feel happy and they feel sad, so do unto us as you have them do to you. So come aboard the vegan train, ride all over the world's terrain, preach the words loud and clear, all life's important, don't you hear?
So, me and Ross have known each other for how many years is it, Ross?
I think 2016, so 5, 6, 7 years.
Yeah.
I can't remember that date, but yeah, a while.
And it's interesting how we first met, isn't it? It's actually through music and like part veganism, isn't it?
Yes, because obviously you used to run the Earth Cafe in Plymouth, and needed a musician and got in touch.
Yeah. We had musicians, but I personally wanted some vegan musicians as well. It's kind of like that extra edge, and then we've known each other since and volunteered together and
various bits and pieces, haven't we?
Yeah, and so this first part of the interview, I'm going to be asking Ross sort of about his vegan journey and other things and other topics, and then after that, within the chat today, there's also going to be recordings that we did out in the field. We did some activism locally at a race course, so there'll be footage and some recordings from that. On the show, Ross, I always like to ask people how their vegan journey started. So if you could let everyone know how your vegan journey started.
Well, let's see. I've been vegan now since just around the time I turned 26, so 10 years, just over. So it's March 2011. The first vegan I met, the first time I even heard of veganism, was from a girl called Sally, who I met up with in Bristol. I had no idea what veganism was at this point. I was vegetarian, but I didn't really call myself vegetarian. I just didn't want to eat animals. It was that as simple as me. I didn't really go around. I didn't think a great deal into it, really. I just didn't want to eat animals. It was that sort of straightforward. But I probably, looking back, obviously did eat things with beef gelatin in and all these.
Okay.
But, I wasn't, checking labels. It's just my logic went as far as I don't want to eat meat.
Were you a vegetarian? Would you label yourself as a vegetarian at the time?
I didn't label myself as anything. I was just
I
didn't want to eat meat. It was that straightforward. And for me, my thinking at the time, and I was always into the music. I was into sort of the ideals of, I don't know what you call peace and love and kindness and all this sort of approach to life, but I didn't know what veganism was, so it didn't really make the connection that it's all well and good saying peace and love and all these sort of things without then applying it to all areas of your life. So
sort of being a bit narrow-minded with it almost.
Yeah, you just thought not wanting people to bomb each other was enough and not eating meat was enough, but when there's a much wider picture to it all. But yeah, I met this girl Sally in Bristol. She didn't really say much about that veganism. She just mentioned she just was vegan, and it came up, and I was like, oh, that's interesting. It didn't really go on too much there, but I guess it was a seed planted.
Yeah.
You know, so that was in either late 2009 or 2010. And then I met another vegan not long after in Bournemouth. Went to a folk festival there, crashed at her house, so we talked a bit that night about things. Not in massive detail, but it was like, oh, I've heard this twice now in like the space of 6 months, whatever it was, 6 months or so.
Yeah.
And I think
like exposure to it.
Yeah,
almost.
and I think at the time I was 25, so I think at that age you've kind of grown up a little bit. You've sort of found a place in the world. You've gone through the education system. You've got yourself a job. I was kind of settled, I suppose, to a point. So my mind is perhaps ready to explore things beyond the world that was shown to me, if you know what I mean. Because I think we're born into the world, we accept where we are, and we find our place there. And then you look beyond that, so you're kind of settled to a point, I suppose. Well, I do anyway. You look beyond. So I think I was naturally thinking more. Like the music I was listening to was a lot of 60s music, which obviously mentioned peace, love, anti-war. Lots of these kind of seeds have been planted. And so, I was exposed to this word veganism, finding out what it's about. And I had chats with these two people I'd met. You know, I kept in touch with them by, I think, email then, because I think it was before Facebook, before I was on Facebook regularly anyway, on social media. So, eventually I just made the decision, okay, go vegan. I think I remember I was away in Cornwall. I still do have weeks away in Cornwall, little mini holidays there. I had one by myself. And I don't know, just kind of came back. I was there a week, I think I was there like a week. I came back on my birthday or the day before my birthday. So I think my birthday cake and so on wasn't vegan, but I think I made the thing in my mind, go vegan from this point. Just felt right, felt easy. I did a little bit of research, not much, but I just did a little to know that I could do it overnight and make the substitutes in what I was eating easily enough without it being a process per se.
So it didn't sound like, for some people it's quite complicated.
Yeah,
they perceive it as hard to find like an alternative, but you're saying it was just like
it's pretty much once, even though it was probably maybe even close to a year, maybe not 6 to 8. I don't know. Time frame's a bit not quite. I can't remember the time frame, but it was quite a while from hearing the first word vegan to being vegan. But once I made my mind up, it was just like, well, I'll do that. Then that seems right. That feels right.
I'm confused. So you'd never heard the word vegan or known a vegan before you met them when you were
when I met my friend Sally, yes.
Never before?
No, I never really occurred to me.
Wow.
But then, that was just how it was. I just didn't hear the word when I heard it. I guess, as I said, that was a seed planted, and eventually it felt right to do. And at the time, coincidentally, I was suffering from bad health, which was because of dairy products.
Oh, really? What health problems did you have?
I had acid reflux, which made me feel very weak. It was so strong, it would make my heart go fast.
Really?
It wasn't a heart issue. I had an EKG and all that sort of stuff to check my heart out.
What's an EKG?
I think it's just when they
scan your heart,
put stickers on you and make sure your heart's still going. Very technical, I know, but I had something like that happen anyway. It wasn't my heart anyway. It was the acid coming out the stomach, coming out so fast that it was having an impact on that.
So that was cow's milk, yeah?
I was drinking at that time. I think I was drinking a lot of those fridge milkshakes, I think there was like a chocolate one, the cookie dough one. I just buy. I work in the supermarket and worked in the supermarket and still do. So that sort of stuff's just easy to grab. You know, whatever you want, junk food, it's just there, isn't it? Any product you want. Yeah. So I was just buying those, probably one a day. I didn't really put it together, obviously, and I didn't go vegan for that reason. My vegan reason was solely the animals. When I saw just a little bit more about the dairy industry and the egg industry, that was just enough to make me go, that's what I'm doing. But then I realised the changes just a couple of months down the line, that once I'd stopped eating those, you sort of put two and two together. Oh, what's different in my life since these health problems, which went on for a couple of months, I think, when I have started in January, and then by end of March I was vegan, so April or May I was probably recovered.
So you don't have the acid reflux now?
No, not at all. It sort of went away somehow, surprisingly. It's almost like I'm not a cow.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I was thinking of Joey Carbstrong because I was like, it's obviously you're just not a baby cow.
No, it took me like 26 years to work out, but you know.
Yeah, it took me about that long, 26 years to realise that I haven't got horns, I haven't got a tail, I haven't got udders,
no,
and I don't go moo.
No, it takes a while. Some people take even longer there, so. You know.
With you were saying about the dairy industry and where eggs come from. What was it that you didn't know before that was kind of like a changing point?
I guess I didn't really make the connection that when a dairy cow's spent and they've given all they can, as in their milk production slows down. I didn't realise
after
then,
like 3 years.
Yeah, I didn't realise then they went and got killed.
So
and I didn't really question what happened to the calves either. Like, obviously they're separated from mums, but on soy solution, and then we take the milk. I didn't realise that part either.
Yeah.
Obviously, living in Devon, I actually do live close to a field where they are kind of together. Even though sometimes they are separated, and it's not the idyllic situation they present. It wasn't a factory farm, so. But it still also has the same process. It's just a much smaller scale. So I just walk past and go. You just walk past and go. Oh, there's cows in the field. They're probably happy. You just make that assumption. You don't think about the behind the scenes, the fact that they're separated, the fact they're kind of. There's probably different cows you see every year because the ones that are of no use are killed and then they're replaced. You don't really think of that. You just think of the image of
like a smiling cow on the side of a packet, or above the cow's milk.
Basically, you don't think behind
the curtain.
Yeah, sort of thing. Yeah, what goes on really? Yeah.
And so you turned vegan after it made a lot of sense.
Yeah, after I
and it was logical.
Yeah,
and as you say, you said for you it's about the animals and not being.
Yeah, I didn't really think about the health aspect or even the environmental aspect at that point. It was just I don't want to hurt anyone else where possible.
Yeah.
Where possible, I want to cause the least suffering as I can, and that was, as far as I could tell, a pretty efficient way of doing it.
Makes sense. And then, how did you and why did you get involved with like vegan activism?
I think there's a couple of reasons. I think it was like-minded people. Obviously, because I used to go on a forum on the internet. I can't remember what it's called, vegan message board or something, before Facebook and groups and things existed.
Yeah.
Or, as they do now, anyway. And that's how I actually met my friend Sally, and we went to Bristol, and I met her in Bristol, and then we had that talk. I was looking around. Oh no, she directed me to that board. Sorry, that I met more people and got in touch with things. But activism just kind of came naturally, really. I mean, I didn't do anything locally. So I went vegan in 2011. I actually quit my job when I went vegan because I was on that such a...
Didn't want to be a part of the system. You're like, you don't want to be near these dead animals. You don't want to be near animal products.
But I went back 9 months later when the money ran out.
Yeah.
But I started doing activism in 2012. There's a West Midlands Vegan Festival. The morning, handing out flyers in the street, helping them set up, and then did my little 30-minute set or whatever I had in the middle of the day, and then stayed to the end, met some awesome people, and then that was just like, oh, this is good, I like this. Then eventually I obviously found stuff closer to home in Exeter with Exeter Friends for Animals, and then Devon Animal Save in 2016.
And you now locally you have your own Devon Against Horse Racing as well.
Yeah, I set that group up just as we used to do it with Devon Animal Save, but I felt horse racing kind of spans outside of veganism in a way. I mean, obviously it's a vegan animal abuse is a vegan issue, but I think horse racing, it's almost a way of waking people up, because a lot of meat eaters or even vegetarians can see the cruelty in horse racing that they can't quite see in the food industry or any other industry. So it's a way of kind of getting them on board to look at the situation, how humans treat animals. So and it's a central point for that one issue. Whereas Devon Animal Save was founded for the safe movement, so that's mostly about vigils and outreach.
Okay.
So it's just keeping them in a place where you can find all the stuff you need from each group, I suppose.
Yeah, and I mean, there's so many forms of activism. We've done quite a few together. We've done we used to do AV events, which means that we show slaughterhouse footage in the streets. We've done stalls, chalking, vigils together.
Yeah,
and then the point I'm trying to make is that the horse racing is another outlet. It's another way of educating people, and later on I'll be including the footage and the recording from the actual day.
Yeah.
So moving on from there, What do you see as the most like effective form of activism?
I think most effective advice is just talking to people.
Okay.
Is that whether obviously if you're doing a stall, you've got leaflets with you, and you can have conversation with any different kind of person there isn't out there who happens to take interest in what you're doing.
Yeah.
But also just in daily life at work. I mean, I work in a quite environment with a lot of people. Everyone there knows I'm vegan, so occasionally people might say they've tried this product or this, so on. That's vegan. I didn't realise. It's just talking to people, really. I think that's the only thing you can do, because I think demonstrations are good, videos are good, shows all the stuff we've talked about, we've done. I think there's a positive to all of that. But I think simply you've just got to talk to people one-on-one, because I think that's when you get a proper connection with someone and they have a proper conversation. I think one-on-one, there's a benefit to showing footage and all this, because you're exposing yourself to a large audience. Yeah. But when you get down to it, you need a sort of a civilised conversation with someone. Yeah,
you need to be rational and just show them that it's not an extreme weird thing or whatever.
You don't need to be just constantly going back and forth, I'm this, you're that, and just basically not getting nowhere. There's no point going, shouting at each other, well, you eat meat, therefore you're wrong, and you're...
And then they're saying the exact same thing. Yeah, it's so like butting heads.
Yeah, that doesn't get anywhere. So if that happens when we've done outreach, for example, I'm just kind of like... If I feel the conversation's going nowhere, I'll leave it, because I'm not there for just an argument for argument's sake. Yeah. Debate's fine. Passionate debate's fine. As in, I don't mind people getting a bit... Well, angry is wrong. Not angry, so that's fine. Yeah, I don't
mind passionate, maybe?
Yeah, because no one wants to be told they're doing something bad. Because as far as they're aware, the life they live, the society they live in, what they're doing isn't bad.
Okay.
Because we accept the world we're in.
Yeah.
And the rights and wrongs are generally confirmed by our parents or those around us who we look up to.
And even then, there's another part of the people that know that it's wrong but don't want to change as well. You know what I mean?
Everyone gets a comfort in their routine and their life, and that world makes sense to them that way. And to change it just feels like this massive thing. Like you said earlier, some people think about going vegan even if they want to do it. It still seems like this massive.
Overcomplicated.
Yeah. Oh my god, I've got to make sure I get this, that. I never really check labels. I don't care what I'm eating in terms of dietary requirement.
As long as it's not...
As long as it's not a dead animal or from an exploited animal. Yeah. So, and I'm still alive after 10 years.
Yeah. It can be done. It can be done.
Vegan chocolate's an acceptable diet.
Say again?
Vegan chocolate's an acceptable diet as far as I'm concerned.
I mean, I would say that vegan chocolate is a part of a healthy diet as well. But you're showing that you can eat junk food. You don't have to worry about what you're eating.
No. I mean, obviously, some people do have maybe other health issues to consider and all this sort of thing. So it is a tricky thing for them. I'm quite lucky. Maybe I'm quite lucky even by the way I am, that I can just easily. It was quite easy for me.
And so I've seen you play music maybe like 4 or 5 times at least. Oh, and also I got to listen to you play earlier.
Yeah.
But I'm intrigued. Like, what got you into music? What was that sort of thing that opened that door?
Oh, what got me into music? Well, I grew up often I guess I can when you grow up around music. I had an older brother and sister who were 4 and 5 years older than me, respectively. And that was around in the 90s when there was Britpop.
Yeah.
So I remember a lot of that. Obviously, I'm a big Oasis fan since, and their subsequent solo careers of those two. But for a while, music took a back seat for me because I was into football and just playing computer games as kids. And then one of my younger brothers brought an electric guitar when I think he was 15, and I was like, oh, I want one of them. Basically, it's a bit of sibling rivalry there, isn't it? Like, he's got a toy, I want.
Yeah.
But I went and bought an acoustic guitar. I was 18 at the time working at Argos. So I went and bought an acoustic guitar. And I think around this time I was rediscovering like bands like Oasis from my childhood, because I was 18 in 2002, so I was rediscovering in college a bit more free time, I suppose. So yeah, I started getting back more into music, bought my first guitar. I was then subsequently left that job at Argos on a temporary contract. So I was unemployed for a year, and while I wasn't really focused on music, it gave me time to pick it up every now and then and learn a couple of chords and differ about with it. And then as time went on, I just got a bit more into music, and yeah, I just kept rediscovering bands. I remember Channel 4 used to do, and probably still do, these like top 100 list programs which go on for like 5 hours in the evening. One of them was top 100 number ones.
Yeah.
And the number one song there was Imagine by John Lennon, which is obviously a very popular song about most people know about everyone living in peace and being happy.
Yeah.
Idealistic, some might say, utopian view. And I thought, I like the sound. Well, I like the lyric and I like the sound of it. And I was just like, so I remember going out and buying a John Lennon best of, and from there I explored his solo career before I even went to the Beatles, where most people might do it the other way around. I suppose might go because the Beatles.
The Beatles. It depends, isn't it? Yeah, but
it's a generational thing. Yeah, but I think I kind of dismissed the Beatles a little bit at first because I thought, they're singing about love, love songs. I think John Lennon's solo career is quite confessional and personal, and I think a lot of people listen perhaps stereotypical. When you're 18, you go for a bit of an angst. When you're 15 to 20, you go for a bit of an angsty phase. You want sort of emotional stuff. So some people would go to punk or to goth music or stuff with a bit of a feeling about love and loss. And whereas then John Lennon had that in the solo career, so that was kind of, I guess that was an emotional connection to it. It showed there was an emotion in music to me, not just the pop stuff I'd listened to growing up.
Yeah, I get it.
So that hooked me on to like music with a meaning, I suppose. And then from there I did eventually go to the Beatles, and I went on from there to Bob Dylan, and 50s rock and roll was a big thing for me. Someone like Eddie Cochran and Buddy Holly, very popular artists.
And I've seen you sort of sharing and visiting and going to watch Donovan quite a lot as well.
Donovan's a massive influence. I brought a best of his probably 2008. I'm trying to remember 2008. But I played that CD on loop for months. And then I subsequently I've met him twice, seen him live 4 or 5 times. And his music's quite spiritual. He's got his folky stuff, which I like. I like the acoustic, just one person and acoustic guitar kind of feel, which is what I do. And I also like it's quite spiritual or reflective and positive, and there's quite green songs as well. I mean, I have no idea if I think Donovan himself is vegetarian. I don't think he's vegan, but
could ask him.
Next time I meet him.
Why not?
Next time I meet him. I've seen him before. But yeah, his songs are quite green, I suppose. He's very, especially in the 70s, when it wasn't a talked about issue maybe quite so much, he was singing songs about taking care of the planet and so on.
Okay.
So I think I was into Bob Dylan before him. So again, one man, acoustic guitar, singing quite poetic things. But I think Donovan, being from the same part of the world as me, roughly, he's from Scotland, but singing more gentle songs, softer songs.
Yeah.
That sort of connected with me a bit more. So then he's a massive influence. I remember the first time I saw him was 2010 in St Ives, and after then I'd sort of made the decision, which again just before my vegan journey started, which around the same sort of time in September. I remember October even 2010. I went to a studio here down the road from my house, not there anymore, and decided, I'm just going to give this a go. I've never tried singing before at that point. I had a guitar for, at that point, 6 years or so. I had guitars. I just enjoyed playing them. I liked the sounds. I brought various types of guitar, but never really tried singing. Scribbled a couple of pieces down to songs, but nothing like I would call a finished song. But then suddenly I thought, I'm going to give this a go. I think obviously and also with my subsequent health problems I had, not that I thought I was about to die, but you kind of realise I'm not going to live forever.
Yeah.
I'm going to do what I want to do right now. I want to pick up a guitar. I want to see if I can. Try and sing, try and write songs, and just do what I want to do. Yeah,
there is an element when you realise that we're all going to die one day, so you might as well do some fun stuff before.
Yeah, basically just enjoy your life, isn't it?
Yeah.
Again, enjoy your life. Don't cause harm to people. It's pretty straightforward.
Or animals.
Yeah.
So I think this is a perfect time to segue into Imagine by John Lennon, because that was part one of your 6 tracks.
Yeah.
So we'll play that one now.
So here we are in Newton Abbot, next to a river, next to a tree, and I'm with Ross. Ross is an activist from Devon, and he's done lots of activism, which we'll get into today. But Ross, why are you here next to a tree today?
To monitor the horse racing that's taking place this afternoon at Newton Abbot.
And how many races are there today?
Today there is, I believe it's 7 races from 4:25 through till 7:30.
Okay, cool. And you record from the tree, don't you?
I do, yes. I record from the tree to make sure the horses all make it round and capture any falls or injuries that might occur that wouldn't be necessarily caught by TV cameras or seen by the spectators in the stand.
How long have you been recording the horses?
So I joined Devon Animals Today active animal rights group in 2016 and end of 2016, and I met fellow activists there who'd been filming at the course, and so I've been doing it since 2017. So this is my 5th season, I think I'm right in saying.
And you've been able to catch a few deaths. You've actually caught on camera yourself personally quite a few deaths, haven't you?
Yes, I have. I've caught the first one was Tea in Transville in June 2017 in appalling conditions, pouring rain. That one actually got attention. It was on Spotlight News, BBC Spotlight, local news channel. And yeah, since then we've caught, I would say, the average is 3 a season. I would see 3 horses die, but from various distances. So I've seen horses die from just a couple of hundred yards away, I suppose, which is quite a good clear image of the injury sustained, and also from a distance where you can just tell from the language of the people on the track that something bad's happened, even if I can't fully see it myself.
And if anybody wants to go and see any of the footage that you've recorded and the sort of the races that you've recorded in the past, where could they find it?
So Devon Against Horse Racing has a Facebook, a Twitter, an Instagram and a YouTube channel, which all have the footage on them. Obviously YouTube's the best place because it's all just the videos and not the other posts the group does.
Yeah.
So you can search, but if you search Google just for Devon Against Horse Racing, I'm sure you'd come up with results of our videos.
And today, so we're currently waiting in between the races, on, as I said, on the side of a river. But earlier on, you had a protest, didn't you guys?
We do. We do for about anywhere between an hour and 15 minutes before the racing starts. We will protest. I give myself 15 minutes after protest to get myself to the filming location, wherever I've been filming from that day. So yeah, we protest. We hold signs designed by the group. And yeah, we go from there and we just hold signs and get beeps of support from passers-by. We engage with people getting into the races as well, if they choose to engage with us. We're quite static. We stand up the signs, wait for people to approach us, but we will offer leaflets as well to people going by.
Kind of like informational leaflets, I'm assuming, right?
Yes, we have some from Animal Aid and some we've designed. Some I designed. Which I checked with Animal Aid to make sure the information was correct and what we were showing the public was accurate and could be proven.
Who were Animal Aid?
The main person at Animal Aid does it is a chap called Dean. He's been head of the Animal Aid Horse Race Death Watch, I think, since 2007. Okay. That's when that website, and they catalogue every death at the race, at a British racecourse since that happens, and the list of injury and age of the horse, state of the.
Yeah, so for anyone who wants to go and find out, they can sort of track that.
Yeah,
horse
I think it's called horsedeathwatch.com.
Yeah. And Animal Aid themselves, what do they? What are they?
They're just a vegan animal rights group who do all sorts of things, from street stalls, host fairs, which we've had stalls at as a group, and yeah, so they do bits and pieces, and they've been really good with us, helping us get going. They've helped us fund posters, given us information, and yeah, they've helped the group grow quite a lot.
And you also share your footage with them, don't you?
Oh yeah, so normally if there's been
out further.
Yeah, if there's been a death, normally I'll email the couple of people I know there, just to make sure they know it's happened and they can look into it further. Obviously they have connections with the industry more than I have.
So sometimes you encounter negative people at your protests. Could you give me sort of like some of the sort of things that they say and how you guys respond to them?
Well, personally, I don't respond. I'll engage only normally in polite conversation. I won't get into a shout back at them because I think that's a waste of my energy.
Yeah.
But they all say things. Get a job's a common one, as if employment matters when you're standing up for what you believe to be right.
But ironically, you do have a job there, don't you, Ross?
I do. I work directly across the road from the racecourse.
It's like me saying, go buy a car when you've already got a car.
But also employment shouldn't matter when you're what we're doing anyway. And obviously these people are saying it in their free time as well, because they're out and about to see me doing this. They must also not be at work.
Oh, there's a lot of double standards going on, right?
Oh, quite a few, yeah.
Yeah,
and that's a common one. But so is the horses love running, which
Well, yeah, I mean,
there's a difference between loving running and being made to run or running to extremes.
Yeah, I mean, you could say that about any human, that every human loves to run because some of them love to run.
Yeah.
And so that everyone should be forced to run. And it's not just that. They have things put in their mouths. What are they called? Like a bit? Yeah,
they're bits in their mouths, and they're obviously someone sat on their back, which is probably makes it more uncomfortable. Yeah. The whip. Yeah. Sad, all of it really. The reins, the blinders on their eyes. I mean, it's not none of that is natural. If humans were meant to sit on horses, let alone ride them, we wouldn't need this equipment. If it was, shall we say, as nature intended, but it clearly isn't.
No, and also the jumps aren't exactly small either, are they?
No, and some even the smaller jumps as well. Then you, as you yourself have heard, you can hear the bashing of their legs against them as they go over the jumps.
Yeah.
And then I've seen many horses trip on those, and obviously some of the time they get up and they're okay, but obviously a lot of the time they sustain permanent injury.
What do you say to people who are like, there's better things to do with your time than record this and show the world? You know what I mean? You and I could just be chilling at home watching the football.
Define better, isn't it? Really?
Yeah.
I mean, is it better to do what? I mean, I'd rather not be doing this, but I'm lucky to have the free time. Why not use my free time to at least try and right some wrongs in the world?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because it's all well and good being online or just do whatever, spouting off your opinions, but what you think is right is wrong. But I like to put some action into my beliefs, into my way of thinking, and in the end, the evidence is on, as far as I'm concerned, on our side as a group. Horses do die doing races.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I can't prove what happens behind the scenes because I haven't got access to that.
No.
They'll tell me they're treated like kings and queens, looked after amazingly, but those people are still sending horses out to a race and knowing there's a chance they could die, no matter how slim it might be in terms of the overall statistics.
Yeah.
That it's still a gamble they're taking with an animal they claim to love.
It's kind of a weird and dark element that these people are actually betting on these horses, like using horses as like a possession almost. It's like a game. It's going to go. You go and spend money, and actually, the problem is that when we do that, we fund the industry.
Yes.
We keep it going. So literally, some of your signs I've seen, they say like, "You bet, you die."
Yeah.
And that's actually what's happening, isn't it?
Yeah. We list the number of horses that have died each year. We update the one sign every protest with the numbers of horses that have died this year at British racecourses, so people can get an idea of the numbers we're talking. As we're recording this, 138 this year have died at British racecourses.
And so we're only nearly in September, so it's like.
And obviously the current pandemic has delayed a lot of racing, and so normally it probably would be higher at this point of the year.
Okay. So I touched on like the negative responses where you've had people shouting at you, swearing at you, calling you every insult under the sun.
And again, to me it doesn't bother me because it's just words.
You had quite a compliment once, which they tried to say was like,
"Oh, I look like Bob Dylan."
Yeah,
which is ironic because I look more like John Lennon.
Yeah.
So they'll throw their little insults out, but that's because you're probably making them think, and it's a reaction, isn't it? It's a defense mechanism for them.
Yeah.
You're making them question something that they believe in and they can't see a wrong in.
Yeah.
So rather than see the wrong, they'll attack the person who's making them think about their life, basically, which are obviously very secure in.
And you as your group as a whole have had quite a lot of online hate from jockeys in general, haven't you?
We get negative comments from people who work at a racecourse.
Yeah.
People in the industry obviously telling us the horses, just the usual stuff. They're well looked after. They're treated so well. It's normally what they always say. They're treated so well. They love to race.
You were mentioning about some of the common sort of arguments that get raised to you about why
from the people going into the racing that will comment towards us.
To sort of justify doing it.
They're treated really well apparently behind the scenes, which is one of them, that they're given the best food, best stables, best care, best training, which could be true. I can't disprove that, but I can prove that they're willing to gamble with the horse's life, no matter how much money is invested in them, because they put them on the track and knowing that they could die.
And again, can you, because I forgot the statistic earlier, how many horses have died in British racing this year?
So at this point it's 138.
138 animals have lost their lives.
Yeah, on British race tracks, and that's not in the industry itself, either before, after, or in other areas of the industry. That's just on that can be proven from the course.
For a sport, when you could just go and do another sport that doesn't involve killing animals.
Yeah, you could. Yeah, and even for people who say they like the betting aspect, where you can bet on football, you can bet on Formula 1, you can bet on any golf, cards, and you can bet on almost anything these days. So you don't have to bet on horse racing.
What train is going to come in next? You know what I mean? There's
a million things you could bet on. It doesn't have to involve animal abuse.
So
it's not like we're trying to take away people's right to go and have fun.
No,
we're not being killjoys. We're just saying, don't do this, because animals are being harmed before, during and after, and obviously losing their lives because of this.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of bullfighting.
Yes.
Whereas Spanish people justify it because it's like traditional
Yes, I
and
think
sport, and it gives people jobs.
That's
And
an element here as well, I think, because obviously horse racing is considered to be quite a British. Well, obviously it goes on around the world, but it's quite a British tradition.
yeah,
Especially people would say middle to upper class. It's quite a esteemed tradition. It's got a pageantry about it almost. It's not.
Yeah.
It's in some ways it's not about the horse. It's about the event surrounding the racing as well.
yeah,
The
because
social aspect,
yeah.
the financial aspect, the having fun. For some people, the drinking aspect, of being with your friends, doing something together. Same reason people go to
Yeah.
football matches.
yeah,
But obviously, the difference is the football matches. The football player goes onto the pitch knowing he could be injured.
yeah, but also
A
no
horse
one
does-
dies.
yeah.
Generally, no footballer dies
It's
from
very-
being raced too hard.
It's very rare that footballer
Yeah.
dies. Obviously, it does happen, but as a human, we're able to calculate our own risks.
Yeah, and they could just say, no, I'm not going to go and play football.
Yeah.
You know, what I mean, you can go and
A
do it.
footballer could come close to a serious injury and say, "Do you know what? I don't want to take that risk in my life."
Yeah.
Whereas a horse doesn't. No matter how careful they might be with, some owners might be with their horses. At the end of the day, the horse is never going to understand the fact their life's on the line.
And last Friday, you and I drove up to Two Sisters in Columpton. Could you describe what was there and what is there?
Two Sisters in Compton is a slaughterhouse that focuses on chickens, where they kill on average 1 million a week.
1 million chickens are killed there a week.
Yes.
Oh, that's mental. That's proper mental.
Yes. So you've been there yourself. The smell of it, well, especially in the warmer times of year, from the trucks, the factory, is very intense.
Yeah, you can even like I've you and I have been there a few times, but when I've driven past there, I've smelt it on the motorway because it's quite close to the motorway.
Yeah, it's quite close to the motorway.
And
yeah,
you drive along and you're like, yeah, I'm near Columpton. Yeah, I'm near Two Sisters
Yeah.
slaughterhouse, and it's like the ammonia, it's the feces from the chickens,
yes,
and
it's really quite overpowering. How anyone lives in houses across from it is beyond me.
yeah, you can smell it from the motorway, so you can definitely smell it from the houses that
Yeah.
are literally just across
I mean,
the road.
we have been told that those people who know houses, because we have a sort of relationship with the people who work there, so we can document what we're there to document, which is the state of the chickens and the fact that they're going in there to be gassed.
Yeah.
Yeah, the workers do live nearby, but still that smell is overpowering. I don't know
Yeah.
how you could live near and within 100, 500 yards of that place. Not
So
further.
so that night you and I only saw one truck come
Yeah,
in with
we did.
chickens.
Yes.
How
we did.
many individuals were crammed on the back of that truck?
In that case, I believe it was probably about 4,000, because of, I think in the colder times of the year it's increased but because of welfare laws,
Yeah.
to try and suggest they do care, which when we know they don't, it can be high numbers.
Yeah.
But the average is 4,000 to 5,000 a truck,
Yeah.
and the average of say a year is 1 million chickens.
And what have you seen firsthand? So let me just for the listeners, we go and bear witness for the animals, and we raise awareness and spread it on social media and take pictures and take videos and let people know what's happening to the animals. But can you tell me about firsthand what you've seen on the back of these trucks, like with your own eyes? What have you seen the chickens? What kind of state have they been in? And
I've seen them. They have burn marks on them from sitting in their own waste. They have obviously some cannot use their legs. I've seen them arrive upside down. Like you see one chicken's legs in the air amongst all the other chickens.
yeah,
You've seen them breathing very shallow breaths, as if they're almost dead before they go in, because they've had such a short but horrible existence. They're just at that point where they're probably ready to die.
Yeah.
It's sad to say
yeah,
that's what they're bred for. That's their for the sake of Two Sisters. That's their purpose.
yeah.
6 to 8 weeks of being fed as much as they can take and then gassed.
Yeah. And have you seen dead chickens on the back?
Yep, I've seen chickens arrive dead. Apparently they have a welfare officer. You can point this out to them, but they won't take them out. I think they test the body temperature after they've been killed to see how recently they've died.
That's really.
So anyone who died before, any of them who died before being gassed, anyone who died before being killed the way they wished, by the way the company wished, then those corpse bodies won't go into the human food chain production, as it were.
It's quite mind-boggling, isn't it? Like a million a week.
It's hard to comprehend. When you've been as well, it's hard to comprehend. Even in one truck, there is 4,000 to 5,000 lives just there in front of you.
Yeah.
Because obviously there's the height of the truck, there's the depth of the truck. You're only really seeing the face of, say,
A couple of hundred, maybe.
a couple hundred
Yeah.
at most. You can probably identify individually because you can't see the top half and you can't see the back. So that, even that's hard to take in. So comprehending that there's thousands is...
And what do you say to people who argue that like there's no real point? You know, when we go
in
there,
terms of bearing witness?
yeah, if you go there, like people know it's happening. It's kind of like what difference is it going to make?
I've had these thoughts myself. I've had discussions about it with fellow activists. But it's about being there, really. That's all you can do, is you can be there, and you can obviously post on social media. You don't know who's going to see it, in terms of whether it's a group page or a personal page. So it's just about doing what you can to make people warm, and also keep it consistent. Try and be constant-ish to a point. To remind people this goes on day in, day out. It's not a one-off thing. We don't go there, you know. It might not change dramatically in the 5 years I've been doing it, but changes are happening. We're seeing them every day in supermarkets, in people's attitudes, the questions people ask me personally about veganism. Change is happening, but change takes a long time. But it's important to remind ourselves that it's not now. The change isn't, maybe not right around the corner, but it's coming. You've got to keep on.
And which other slaughterhouses have you been to? So that was a chicken slaughterhouse.
Chicken slaughterhouse up in Devon, Clumpton, Devon, and then there's Hafferley in North Devon, which is cows. Bodmin, again, cows in Cornwall, and pig slaughterhouse in Bristol. Those are the only slaughterhouses. I've been to a few other small ones to check them out, but in terms of whether seeing the animals would be possible, but it's not the case. Normally it's the larger ones where you get a chance to bear witness and take photos. And it's almost like you'd have to wait all day, and then maybe there's one truck at the other places. Whereas the other ones are more of a big production line, isn't it, really? Unfortunately. And the Clumpton one's the closest to us, kind of like geographically, so that's kind of where we've been the most. It's in terms of, even for me, someone who can't drive, I can get a train and a half-hour walk or so to get there. So if I wanted to, which I have done it once by myself, just to be there, be there for those chickens. Unfortunately, no one's going to remember them. No one's going to care. No one's going to make that connection when they go shopping. But that's part of the thing we do. We have done posts before on the Devon Animal Save page where I've taken a picture of the chicken truck and then gone into a supermarket, take a picture on the shelves and put them side by side, just so people realise. Just help. Give them a nudge. Because that chicken was once on a truck like this. It had gone through what those chickens had gone through. And do you remember that time when we went there before? We went there in quite late evening. Sometimes they're open till all night, aren't they? Well, they kill the free-range ones, organic chickens, early in the morning. So we're talking really early, like 3-4 o'clock in the morning. And then it's battery farmed ones all the way through till the day's work is done, basically. So that can be anywhere between 9 o'clock till 11 o'clock at night. And then also the... Sorry, I've got to go up a tree in a minute. Okay. 5:25 past, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm going to head off. Do you want my camera?
I'm alright with my legs. No,
thank you, Sean.
I'll have your chocolate.
So me and Ross first met through his music and through a group that I used to work for. And then Ross, you worked with Devon Animal Save before me, didn't you?
Yes.
And we talked about how, why you'd go to a slaughterhouse and bear witness there, do a vigil there. And we've talked about why you come to the horse racing. And at their core, it's about the animals, isn't it? The reason you do these things. It's for the animals, yes. I very much hope when I do the racing, obviously, that I don't see anything bad happen, but I'm there just in case it does. Just so those animals, that's what happens to the animals that are suffer injuries. They're not forgotten. Because obviously the racing wants to promote a very positive image, just like the food industry wants to promote a positive image, or the farming industry, I should say. So that's why we go to slaughterhouses, to show people what the individuals go through. It's all about the individuals, the animals, because people don't view them as individuals. That's the thing. The animals are very much viewed as property or to serve a human purpose. They're like commodities. They're like chairs and chairs and mobile phones. A common comparison we've both probably made, and many vegans make, is you wouldn't do what I see at the racing, or we see in slaughterhouses. We wouldn't even think about doing that to our cats or our dogs, or even, and also even people who keep pet fish. They wouldn't want those fish in cans in supermarkets, would they? Do you know what I mean? No, they wouldn't at all. We're very selective about how we treat the individuals in our home, which have been bred, I suppose, as pets and been domesticated to a point where they serve us. But the animals that don't serve us that purpose, we don't see serving us that purpose. We then either
decide food or just wild animals we ignore, or obviously trophy hunters exist as well.
Yeah.
So it's all, as humans, we've sort of really categorised animals into their purpose for us and forget the individual behind the purpose we deem for them.
It's speciesism, isn't it?
Yeah,
There's this weird,
that's the best way to describe it is the speciesism.
this weird abstract like category. Your food, you're a pet, your entertainment.
Yeah.
Instead of you are an individual, like you say, you were saying about an individual. They are all individuals,
Yes.
but we've chose to put them put them in a little box that says yum yum yum, eat, pet.
Yeah.
Man's best friend, man's entertainment.
Well, obviously, we've seen many vet documentaries down the years where people have to put their pet, their dog, for example, put to sleep because they're suffering a terminal illness.
Yeah.
To ease their suffering, and the people who put the animal down will be in floods of tears.
Yeah,
But at the same time, but at the same time, you could show them a picture, say, from the two sisters we've been to, about 4,000, 5,000 lives on a truck, and they won't even bat an eyelid because
there's no emotion.
there's a desensitization because and that they can't connect to those animals in the same way.
I suppose they can connect to them.
Well, they can, but they choose. There's something in either society or the way that that forces that disconnect. That they don't want that disconnect challenge, which is mostly why people get angry with vegans. No matter how you're displaying your message, because there's obviously the cliche aggressive vegan, angry, aggressive,
loud,
yeah,
in your face vegans.
Keep your black views to yourself, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But no matter how you present your argument or your feelings, whether it's calmly, posts on the internet, whatever it is, even if it is shouting, they'll pick on that because you're making them question the world as they see it, or the way as they understand it, the way that they're comfortable with, and no one wants to be uncomfortable. I don't want to be uncomfortable. I don't like seeing knowing that I've contributed to things in the past, but at the same time, you accept that people who are fundamentally good can still do bad things without meaning to.
Yeah,
because
it's the conditioning.
Yeah,
the conditioning. If we can all be conditioned to do anything.
Yeah.
But so you have sympathy for those people who've been conditioned.
Yeah.
Let's just wait for the train.
there he goes.
So there's sympathy for people who've been conditioned.
Yes, to a point, but then again, they still need a little nudge because people are. Again, I believe most people probably are fundamentally good people.
Yeah.
The majority are, but they've just say it's the society you're brought up in, the upbringing you have generally. Obviously, we're in Devon, a lot of farming, a lot of hunting, a lot of things. It's like as we said earlier about Spain, but in bullfighting, Spain's considered tradition. It's considered part of their culture, their life. So, for me to go and question it, they'll probably say, "Oh, you don't understand. You're not from this area. You don't understand what this means to us.
You're not a farmer. You don't know what it's like."
Yeah. Same with the racing, horse racing, or any other slaughterhouses. That's part of life. That's part of how the world is.
But ultimately, our view on dogs and cats.
Yes.
What we've done is we've just granted the rest of the animals that same view. So all the farmers can have that view. They've just got selective viewing.
Yes. And obviously, when it comes to abroad, obviously the Yulin Festival gets promotion.
Yeah. What's the Yulin Festival for those who don't know?
Dog killing, is it in China?
Essentially, it's like what we have in England, where we have a hog roast.
Yes, but with dogs.
But they have dogs, and everyone loses their crap, and they lose their minds. They think it's outrageous,
which it is, obviously.
Yeah.
But obviously, if you think that's outrageous, why don't you think a hog roast is that? Why don't you think 4,000 chickens on a truck is outrageous?
Yeah.
Because
or even gas chambers. That's one of the things that always gets to me. Is like no one really thinks about gas chambers.
No, you can, because quite rightly that's a horrific. No one would envisage putting anyone through that, surely.
No.
And these animals are individuals, so you wouldn't do it to your dog. Why would you let chickens?
No.
If a vet said to you, your dog's got a terminal illness, you wouldn't go and say, "Well, put him in a gas chamber," would you?
No, you just try and let them live their whole of their lives.
And then, if it came to it, as peacefully as they can, in those circumstances. But these animals aren't in those circumstances. Perfectly healthy animals are get like cows going to slaughter, getting a bolt through the head and their throat slit to drain the blood. Animals that don't want to die.
That's it. That's the thing that people need to realise is that these animals don't want to die. If somebody wants to die, like if they have a terminal illness, they can go and like they have certain things that can be done. But these animals don't have a choice; they're forced to be killed.
And then there's that excuse bred for this purpose. But just because you've created life doesn't give you the right to abuse it.
No, or end it when you want.
Yeah,
like,
basically, yeah.
Yeah, you could just let it live their whole lives.
Because if you did that with a human, obviously they'd be quite rightly be outraged.
Yeah.
If I was to have a child and go, well, I've designed this child has this purpose, and when they get to 4 years old, that's a gas chamber.
Same with a dog, though. Another perfect example is if any of the things that we do to like food animals, let's say, the animals that people choose to eat, if we do any of those to dogs, then everyone would they would never let it happen.
Yeah. So it's just about trying to make sure people are aware of what happens. At the end of the day, I've always come to the conclusion that I cannot make someone be a vegan. I cannot make someone even take tiny steps towards veganism. I can only tell people what happens in the world with as many facts and hopefully as much evidence, and obviously by going to the racing, by going to the slaughterhouses, by watching documentaries, I've got some first-hand experience of these things.
Yeah.
It's not me pulling out a fact from 10 years ago in America.
Yeah.
It's something I've done firsthand and I can tell someone, which hopefully gives it more meaning and significance to the person I'm talking to.
Yeah.
Or showing the footage I've obtained to.
Yeah.
And that can help them make a connection. But at the end of the day, it's their choice whether when they go into Tesco or Sainsbury's or Asda, what aisle they go down to.
Yeah.
They do their food shop.
Yeah.
It's their choice to pick up what they're going to eat, whether it's the animal-based stuff or not. I can't change that. I can just attempt to educate.
And education leads nicely on to street activism.
Yes, which we've both done plenty of.
Yeah, and we've also done that together, haven't we? We've met. I've spoken about it on this show many times. On the street, you meet every character of society, every person.
You get people who just want to counter everything you say.
Yeah.
And people who talk to you for half an hour to an hour, but you'll be at the exact same point as when you started when they leave.
Yeah.
But you've got people who would engage. I've had people come up to me not angry, but maybe a bit like cocky, a bit like, okay, what about this, what about that, what about that? And you have this chat with them. At the end of it, they're going, well, I can see your point actually.
Yeah.
I'm not saying they go, I'm going to go vegan, but you've planted that seed and they came up with an attitude, but you actually end up having quite a civil conversation.
Yeah.
And they ask your views on, like, well, I remember one time playing with someone asking, well, what happened to the cows? Then they'd all be dead.
Yeah.
I said, well, they wouldn't know, they hadn't been born.
Yeah, that's it.
If there are no cows in the country because we're not eating them, then that's fine. That's nature select. Obviously, there would be cows because there are wild cows.
Yeah.
But people have this view of at least they get a bit of life or something. You know what I mean? Because they have the idyllic view of cows in fields and they're all happy.
It's quite there's like polar opposites. The same arguments get presented. So one argument is that if we don't eat the animals, they'll overrun.
Yes.
And if we don't eat them, then they'll go extinct.
Yeah,
so it's a complete. It's not one or the other. It's got to be one, and it's always got to be the other.
And I've seen cases where the same person is making these points.
Yeah.
They've not stopped to realise what they're saying, that they are claiming both extinction and overpopulation of animals.
Yeah.
Because of veganism.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, nature finds a balance, because there's obviously a balance before in nature, isn't it?
Yeah, but also so they won't overpopulate if everyone goes vegan, because we'll stop artificially inseminating them.
Yes.
And
stop breeding them.
Yeah, stop breeding them, and then so that will stop that one.
Yeah.
The other thing about them going extinct is that they are not the original animals in the wild. So the original wild cows and the chickens will still exist.
Yes. The battery farmed ones won't exist.
Yeah.
The pigs the mothers have to give birth to their pigs in crates with their babies down beside them.
Yeah, like metal crates. Just for everyone who's listening, that's a metal crate. It's called a farrowing crate. Please look it up.
Yes, well, so obviously you and I have seen the footage in videos online,
yeah.
and I'm sure many have, of pig babies just dead next to the mother.
Yeah,
none of that's natural, obviously.
No, it's on concrete as well, isn't it?
It's on concrete and metal, just like some cows in sheds as well. All they have is concrete. Then so it's not all these animals that we're breeding to produce more milk, to lay faster eggs, to grow quicker. All those animals would be extinct.
Yeah.
But these animals are born, as you said, they're unnatural. They're not natural animals.
No.
They're genetically modified by selective breeding by us.
They're like Frankensteins, aren't they?
Yeah. So they would become extinct, and they wouldn't. But then that's fine, because these animals literally suffer and all their existence.
Yeah.
Until they either get killed when the farm wants, or they what they can't take anymore because they've not got the right genes to actually live a proper life as a natural life would.
With the street activism, have you noticed that, let's say when we started, sort of like 6 or 7 years ago, now some of the arguments they're not as common because people know that like you can get protein from plants and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
I think the fact there are vegan bodybuilders out there,
and
so the fact veganism has grown so dramatically in supermarkets. I remember when the free-from section was not mostly vegan, but also a very small area in the supermarket, but that's grown.
Yeah.
The range of things like vegan ice cream, vegan pizzas, the food that people would assume you couldn't have. People always assume veganism's broccoli and cabbage. But you obviously got the growth in vegan junk food is quite dramatic for the last 5 years, I'd say, essentially. And so it's more common, so people haven't got the same arguments. Yeah.
No, what do you eat? Well, I just eat the same thing as you, but a
just
vegan version.
Yeah. Pizza. What do you have last night? Pizza. Well, so did I. Yeah, mine just didn't have dead pig on it.
Yeah, dead pig and like stolen milk from cows. Turned into congealed cheese.
Yeah, so I mean that argument goes out the window straight, almost instantly. If someone comes up with that argument, you can like in a second say, well, there's all this.
Would you say that when people say that Hitler was a vegetarian?
Well, he wasn't, was he, for a start? And then why does that make a difference?
Yeah. Well, I mean, also we're promoting veganism. We're not promoting vegetarianism.
No, exactly. Because vegetarianism obviously still relies on milk, and the dairy industry is the meat industry because the spent mother, when they can't produce enough milk, goes to slaughter. So that she becomes a packet of steak mince or whatever it is in the supermarket. She still go down in part of the meat production. So even if you're not eating meat, by drinking dairy, you're still causing. You're still in part of the process of a reason a cow was being killed, basically.
Have you had any positive chats with people on the street?
Tree time.
Okay, we'll be back. We've got to go back to the tree. See you in a bit. So along with your activism with Devon Animal Save, what other things have you done? You've done chalking, you've done stalls, you've done vigils, like we talked about the slaughterhouses. You're doing work with Devon against horse racing. Yeah. Anything else?
There's been obviously various bits and pieces, things like badger patrols, quite a simple bit of activism, going around areas with high-vis jackets during the badgers cull season. But I've also been inside a slaughterhouse. We were invited in one in Tydeford, just which I think is just over the border into Cornwall from Devon, and or just on the border, either side. I can't remember. And we were invited in. They promoted themselves as a very open slaughterhouse. They would so me and a couple of others got invited in one day. We went. They'd stopped killing for the day. It was I think it was mid to late afternoon. We went in, and they showed us the kill floor.
Wow.
They showed us the bolt gun. They showed us.
What's a bolt gun?
That's which stuns the cow, knocks the cow up.
Yeah.
Prior to the throat sitting and up, and so we had a chat with them. They took us round. We saw bodies of very recently killed pigs hanging.
Really?
In the cold room.
Were they so they slit the throat? So they put the bolt gun. Did they do the bolt gun for the pigs? Or was it electric?
I wasn't sure. I can't recall.
I think off the top of my head, it's like electric for pigs. You stun them, and then they slit the throats for the blood, right?
Yeah. So I saw in the area where the bodies were kept. I saw one pig still fully formed, and nothing had been cut.
Really?
Hanging, and I saw one which had been cut in half, and obviously had been processed. I suppose is the word they'd use.
Yeah.
It's a very small slaughterhouse. An area for cows with a drain in the middle where the blood obviously gets drained into the middle, and then there's another little area where pigs and sheep would go, smaller animals would go.
The slaughterhouse that you went to is on Joey Carbstrong's YouTube, isn't it?
Yes. So I was in with him and a couple of other activists at the time. So
people can actually what you're describing. If you type
in, I think it's if you type in, or just on YouTube, type in Joey Carbstrong, World's Most Open Slaughterhouse, I think he called the video.
Yeah.
And he was being filmed, so all the information you'll see on there, and everything that they said to us, which was they would claim that they were very open, and what they would see from other slaughterhouses would upset them.
Oh wow.
So they had this view of they were doing it the right way, I suppose, a kind way, compassionate way. But as we know, there is no kind way to kill someone who doesn't want to die.
No.
But they were in this mindset of they were somehow kinder than other slaughterhouses.
With the with that word kind, what age did they kill them kindly?
The same age as any other slaughterhouse.
So early. So
Yeah, it's
so
basically
with
the
pigs,
same.
It was probably like 18 months.
Yes, I can't.
No, sorry, 6 months for pigs.
Yeah, so it was just. It's like you know, all that. There's a meme, isn't there? I think, or a picture online which is grass-fed, organic, factory farm. All the arrows point to the same slaughterhouse, basically.
Yeah.
No matter what label you put on something, they're all going to be killed by the same means.
Like the chickens that we saw at Columpton, they have organic and free range chickens.
But they all go in the same. They all go in the same.
And they call them standard chickens,
Yeah.
the ones that aren't organic and free range. But
Yeah.
they do what with them?
They gas them.
So it's exactly the same. It's
Yeah,
just
there's
it's
no
just
difference.
it's a label.
Yeah,
It's a label that
Every chicken you see on the shelf that comes from that slaughterhouse has died the same death.
So it's kind of like a sales pitch, really,
Yeah,
to say.
it's it's a way of advertising to make sure people still buy your product, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's-
You use a marketing term.
Yeah, you use a term that disassociates from what the reality is
Yeah.
to keep the buyer interested, basically.
And then, so is it just the pigs that you saw at the Twyford?
They should.
slaughterhouse?
Again, it'll be on the video, but we saw she's the lady who owned the slaughterhouse who did the killing showed us a CCTV footage of that day.
Well, okay, yeah.
From the kill floor of a cow that they killed.
Oh, really?
So we saw on the monitors
Yeah.
the killing of a cow that happened maybe a couple of hours prior to us being there.
And the cow's the bolt gun, isn't it?
Yes,
The
and
cow
they-
gets like ushered in on its own.
Yep, and gets a bolt gun. Yep, to the head, and then it's killed.
And then
Blood drained.
and it's hung upside down and then throat slit.
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
they do what they do to the body to.
It's all we're talking about like gas chambers, we're talking about bolt guns, we're talking about cutting necks and slashing and killing, when people could just go and buy some black beans.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Or,
They
just,
could go.
or even just the most basic food you can think of.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be anything outlandish, does it? People seem to think that to be vegan you have to buy the vegan version, the vegan version of steaks, burgers,
Yeah.
bacon. You don't have to buy this stuff. People go, it's expensive. Well, you don't have to buy it. There's other food available.
Yeah, that actually is one of the most one of the most common things is people are like, oh, veganism is expensive, but it doesn't have to be, right?
Well, no, because you think about if you're gonna stereotype the poorer nations in this world, they eat rice, beans, bread. Do you know what I mean? Pasta, all these very basic,
Fruits,
yeah,
nuts and seeds, and
all these very
vegetables.
basic foods, which again are cheap.
Yeah.
in wide supply worldwide.
I mean, the challenge would be for anyone who still eats dead animals to look at their shopping list and be like, what's more expensive, the rice
Yeah.
or the steak or the bacon? You know what I mean?
because even if because everyone will buy a lot of product already, buy a lot of food that is vegan. But because they have it with their steak and they have it with their eggs or whatever,
Bits of chicken,
cheese, whatever it is,
cow cheese,
goat cheese,
yeah, sheep's cheese.
whatever, people just need to replace those items or just take them off them or just replace them with something. Even doesn't have to be a vegan version of those items. With another product that is vegan,
Yeah.
you can shake things up a bit.
Yeah, just
Or
try
yeah.
something different.
Yeah,
And how long have you been vegan?
I've been vegan for 10 years, so it's vegan since I was 26.
And so, in that time, you've eaten thousands of things that didn't have animal products in?
Yes, I've managed to stay alive, haven't I?
You have, yeah, because you're talking right now.
Yeah, so I haven't died of protein deficiency just yet.
No, I mean, how's your iron? Because your iron might be quite low because you're vegan, right?
It might be, you never know, I mean. But no, I've actually had blood tests and they've come back fine, so.
Yeah.
No, I'm still active, fit, and I feel the same as I did pretty much when I went vegan even, so I've not, in the 10 years between 26 and 36, I've not noticed any sort of dramatic change in my health or well-being.
No, and
If anything, it's improved, because prior to going vegan I had issues with acid reflux, which was caused by dairy products.
Oh yeah, because you're not a baby cow, right?
No, but I didn't realize, until I was 26, I didn't realise this.
Yeah, I mean, I know like 50-year-olds who still think that they're like, they haven't realised that they're not baby cows and they've got like lactose intolerant and.
Again, it's almost like the milk wasn't meant for us, isn't it?
I know, right? Oh no, it isn't. Oh, the penny's dropped today. The penny has dropped. We're not baby cows.
That's something we worked out today.
Yeah. But on the baby cow juice, the dairy industry is something that doesn't get talked about, because the reality is, like you say, that the milk is designed for the baby cow.
Yes, to grow a baby cow into an adult cow.
Yeah, like fast.
Yeah.
But what happens? So the baby calf can't have it, because if we're buying animal products, we're buying it.
No.
So what happens to the baby calves?
Well, they get fed soya solutions, don't they?
Yeah.
Often, which
Yeah.
again, you'd think, why don't we just have the soya and leave the milk for the cows? Probably save a lot of farming, a lot of land,
Yeah.
a lot of resources like water.
Yeah.
And
the ones that aren't lucky enough to be fed soya, they're killed as well, aren't they?
yeah, especially obviously male cows have very little, so that's where your veal comes from, isn't it? And that's where, or just waste even. If they're not profitable to the farmer, why would he keep them?
And
essentially,
yeah, I mean
he's running a business, isn't he? He's not doing this because he loves animals.
No,
he's doing this because it generates an income to supply baby cow milk to
humans who think that they're
the baby cows.
Yeah, it's all a bit mad. It's all a bit backwards.
Yeah.
Where do you think? So at the moment, the vegan market is growing.
Yeah.
Just for those listening, we just had a pheasant run past us.
Yeah.
Little wild pheasant.
Yeah.
Just come in to say hello.
Yeah.
Where do you see? So at the moment, veganism is on this rise.
Yeah.
Do you see it plateauing, or do you just see it continuing to rise?
I think it will continue. I think there's always going to be little hurdles. It's going to feel like it stagnates maybe at times, but then it's maybe another push. And I think with the way because obviously veganism isn't just about for me, I went vegan for the animals, but it's obviously not just about the animals. It's about what it does to the planet, what it does to our health.
Yeah.
So I think with the way the world is in terms of the climate crisis, there has to be changes.
Yeah.
And that's obviously...
Why not be dietary? If we've got to reduce our car use and stuff like that, and CO2 output, then food is going to be a big part of that.
Yeah, because obviously food, we have to change our food habits for that, and obviously long-term health.
Yeah.
As well, make sure we're in the best condition we can be to have the longest and healthiest lives we can lead.
Yeah.
And obviously a plant-based diet has been proven to be the best when done correctly.
Yeah, whole foods.
Yeah.
We talked about mock meats and fake vegan products,
which is fine if we eat that stuff, but there's got to be a balance. You've got to make sure you get good stuff in you as well.
Yeah.
Like any diet, I suppose, you've got to have good stuff, but obviously it's the animal products that are causing a lot of damage, the production of animal products that are causing a lot of damage to the climate as we know it.
Yeah.
And we've all seen the footage of fires, forest fires, floods.
Seaspiracy.
Obviously there's documentaries out, they play documentaries of some on Netflix and YouTube for people to check out, which will show people the effects of, just health, climate, and obviously the animals as well.
And on documentaries, have you seen the recent documentary about horse racing in the UK?
No.
Okay, so we will.
That's on my to-do list.
Yeah, but for those listening, there is a documentary out by Animal Aid that investigates the darker side of horse racing.
Yes.
So Ross talked about the deaths that we can physically see on the race course.
Yes.
But there's a lot more deaths that happen for the horses that aren't looked after.
I've seen clips of on social medias because we share a lot of Animal Aid material. So I have seen clips. I've just not found the time to sit down and watch the whole documentary yet.
Yeah.
But yes, obviously none of it comes as a surprise to me because I've seen clips throughout the years of horses sent to the kill yard because they're not deemed useful.
Is it called the Knackers Yard?
Yeah, it's called the Knackers,
which is actually quite
they're knackered. They're knackered essentially.
Yeah,
they're knackered. Go
yeah.
there, and then that's their shop. I've seen footage of horses shot. Just because there's restraint, they has put an area shot and then they're dead. That's it. Because
it's kind of like the darker side of horse racing, isn't it? The bit that no one sees. Everyone sees the
everyone
glitz and the glamour and the
pageantry.
The events, the drinking, the celebrations, the silly hats or whatever.
Often, really, the horse, much as they claim the horses are well looked after and all this stuff, they're still gambling with their lives, which proves. I mean, I wouldn't do that for someone I loved.
Yeah.
I spend a lot of everyone spends a lot of money looking after their pets, but you wouldn't then put your pet in a situation they don't know the full realities of, and it could lead to the end of their life.
Yeah.
No matter how high or low the risk. But for a lot of people, horses aren't even the main focus. In terms of the punters, it's the betting's almost a sideline to a party almost. It's like you're going out with your friends, you're socialising, you're drinking, you're having a fun time, and every half an hour or so, there's a race on.
Yeah.
Let's see my horse lost. Okay, let's put one on in the next race. They're viewed as products and not individuals. It's bat, horse lost. Where's the next one I can place a bet on? Not viewing the individual who's gone through that race.
What would your advice be to anyone who's thinking of like boycotting racing? Like where would be a good place for them to start looking about like educating themselves and researching and stuff?
I mean, Animal Aid's obviously got a lot of resources.
Yeah.
Obviously that's the best place to go. I think Animal Aid are a very good website. They've got sections on their website about the racing industry.
Yeah.
Obviously documentaries you mentioned are worth watching, and yeah, I would just say keep an open mind. Google's obviously fine, a good place to go. We have discussions with people on our social media. People post questions to us when we post stuff, and we'll post our responses.
Yeah, so it's like a learning process for some people. You can just go on the Twitter, go on the
you can see the replies you
Instagram
get and see how we reply to them and what we say and how we act. Because it's all about education. I mean, they say people don't see behind the scenes; they see the event.
Yeah.
But these horses have to be made to be in a position to race, which requires a lot of training.
Yeah.
Which isn't going to be pleasant, is it? You know,
No,
it's going to be
forced. They're forced to run in a certain way.
And people say they're bred for this purpose, and all this sort of logic that they seem to come to, that we're almost doing the horses a favour by breeding them and racing them. But end of the day, the horses, these again, like as we said earlier with the animals in the food chain, these are not natural horses. These are designed horses.
Yeah, we've humanly constructed them this way.
Yes,
yeah.
so they're beneficial to racing for us.
Because they have a lot of heart conditions as well, don't they?
Horses have a lot of heart attacks. Some of them are raised too young before their bones are fully developed.
Yeah.
So there's lots. There's all sorts of issues with the industry.
Might as well just not race them.
I mean, why do we race them? Who first saw a horse and thought, I'm going to make that race against some other horses and pay some money on it? I mean, when you boil it down to the basics of what these is, it's needless, it's ludicrous. But obviously, it's an industry, it's a business, and unfortunately, it's going to take time to get people to look away from it. I suppose step away from it.
The big driving force of it all is the pound sign.
Yeah, it's like anything. Like the animals in the food industry, the animals in the entertainment industry, which racing falls under. This is all about money. At the end of the day, everything's about generating an income, isn't it? Supplying jobs is as if. But then again, lots of jobs come and go in history. Slavery was once deemed acceptable.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I mean, yeah, and bullfighting's disappearing in Spain.
But still, yeah, there's all sorts of industries that are come and go in this world, and I think it's time for horse racing to go.
Be a part of history.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope, obviously, the future generation look back, and not just what we do to horses, but obviously what we do to all animals. We'll look back on, as we look back on other human events, with shame and embarrassment, I suppose, but also glad that we've consigned it to history.
Yeah. Something to like. Yeah, it's like something.
You have to keep reminders of it to make sure, in a way, I suppose, to make sure that it doesn't happen again.
Yeah.
So make sure that it's not forgotten, but it stays in the past.
That's really good. Have we got another race?
We have got another race.
All right, we'll be back.
So you started writing vegan music.
I did, yeah.
What inspired that?
I think, I just not long started writing music anyway. So I went vegan in 2011. I think I wrote Talking Vegan Blues. I got a memory of writing it, sat in my bed, and it just coming out, which is how I write most of my songs. Most of my songs are kind of just, you just pick up a guitar or whatever, maybe a piano if you're playing the piano, and just with an idea, and then suddenly you've kind of got a song. I don't really, not to sound flippant, but I don't really slave away at it. You sort of write it as it comes out, then you adjust it afterwards. That's how I do it. Yeah. So I get an idea for a verse, pick up the guitar, and then go, okay, write that. I've got another idea. So you find yourself then with, some words, a tune, maybe, and hopefully the chords that all come together. It kind of all comes together for me at once, most of it. Then you might look back and go, that line doesn't quite flow well, so I'll chop that word out, or I'll maybe, it's happened before, I think I've written a song, I put the guitar down, gone to do something else, and something goes in my brain, and I go, no, I've got to write another word down now. So it's, but most of it comes at once. And the vegan song, I went vegan, and that was on my mind, so the song just sort of happened.
How many vegan songs have you got? Or
it's hard to know. I remember then I wrote Talking Vegan Blues, a song called Daisy's Children, about their industry, then Vegan Love, The Vegan Road, and Echoes of Life, which I think was about veganism in a song. So there's 5. I think there was 5 quite early on in the week. Then, in a couple of days, that's at that point, because songwriting was new to me at that point. It felt easy. Yeah. I didn't know what I was doing. I could write more. It doesn't make
Yeah,
it's a bit weird.
so
'cause
it's-
there's no rules. I haven't worked out a pattern. I haven't learned any rules. I was just going, oh, what that chord sounds like. Oh, that sounds nice.
Yeah.
Then I'll do a song with it or some. But in general, probably 10, 15, 20 vegan songs. I don't know.
Nice.
There's quite a few of them. Some of them are on other places like Spotify. Some are on my Bandcamp page.
YouTube as well, some of them? Or?
Some are on YouTube. There's a couple of videos on YouTube. But yeah, there's bits and pieces knocking about. Yeah, there's even, I think I put on YouTube, no, on my Facebook page, an unfinished one, which is, I did a little video of lyrics on called For the Animals, which never really finished, which never got finished, but it's kind of, well, it's finished in terms of its lyrics, but I never finished an actual recording, as in the studio. But no, so there's bits and pieces around. It's just, well, it's part of my life, and I just sing it, and when I sing and write, I'm singing and writing about myself, whatever's on my mind.
Yeah.
Basically, either consciously or subconsciously, pick up the guitar and whatever you're feeling comes out.
So there's loads of documentaries out there.
Yep.
Sorry, specifically, there's lots of vegan documentaries.
Yep, lots of them as well.
What are your favourite ones that people should watch?
I've not watched many, actually. I saw Dominion. So I'd say Dominion, really. I've seen Cowspiracy, and I've seen Land of Hope and Glory. We used to use that, didn't we, for
the street events.
Yeah, street events. But I'd say Dominion for me, because that covers quite a lot of. Whereas I think Land of Hope and Glory is mostly British animals, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
It also is about England. It also is about England.
So I know what Land of Hope and Glory is. I know what Dominion is.
Yeah.
But for the viewers and the listeners, what are Land of Hope and Glory about? Dominion.
That's the food, well, the animal agriculture, food industry. Obviously, Land of Hope and Glory is about this country, and Dominion's more worldwide, isn't it? About but yeah, it's video footage of what happens to these animals, and it's not very nice viewing.
It's harsh truth, isn't it?
It is. People watch it. I've seen people, as you have as well, probably doing activism, and we put them on the headset. We've even done headset footage, haven't we? VR.
iAnimal, yeah.
Then this footage, it makes people cry.
Yeah, seeing the reality.
Yeah, they see what happens, and the truth is powerful. But that's what no one sees. So when they get exposed to it, there's bound to be a reaction.
And so Land of Hope and Glory is the reality of the UK, and Dominion is the reality of the world. It's mostly recorded in Australia, isn't it?
Yes, but I think because it's focusing on as many animals as possible, there's obviously it focuses on different parts of the world where maybe that animal's mainly farmed or...
Yeah, because you've got ducks in there, you've got camels...
there's bits on fish as well, aren't there?
Yeah.
Obviously there's Seaspiracy, which is obviously all on fish, but Dominion kind of covers everything.
Yeah.
I think so. If you want to give someone a rough idea of what happens to all animals, Dominion's the best one to go.
Also in Dominion they do horse racing as well, don't they?
They do, yes, yeah. Which is obviously something I spend a lot of time on in protesting or fighting against.
And recording, so unfortunately you've literally recorded deaths, haven't you, at Newton Abbot Racecourse?
Yeah, I've recorded. There's been, I think it's 20 deaths now since 2017. I think it's 20.
20 animals have lost their lives for people to bet.
Yeah, it's 60 since 2007 at the course. But yeah, I've captured some, and some have been quite close up. So I've seen broken legs, and I've seen horses being pushed to the ground, and after they've been put to sleep, as they'd say, or euthanized, whatever words they use. Killed is probably the most accurate one.
Yeah, their lives ended.
Yeah, because they were pushed too hard or placed in a needlessly dangerous event that they had no say in, or no comprehension of the potential fatality of it.
It's really weird what humans do to animals, isn't it?
It's kind of just say weird. It's baffling. It's like if you love them, why would you do that?
That's not a form of love, is it?
No.
So. Where, if anybody wants to see the footage from the races, where could they see it?
Devon Against Horse Racing has obviously Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and it has its own YouTube channel. So obviously, any of those platforms, just type in Devon Against Horse Racing or Newton Abbot Racecourse. I'm sure they'll pop up.
And if anybody wants to come and help, so you do protests and you also do
we do
recording.
protests where we hold signs for about an hour, between an hour and a half prior to the racing starting.
As many of the races as you can each season almost.
Yeah, numbers obviously vary. So if anyone wants to get in touch, they can just get in touch via the social media channels or email us. I think email links just devonagainstHorseRacing@gmail.com.
Yeah.
But yeah, get in touch on social media. People have done. before, and yeah, just come and get involved. Or you just turn up. The events are public. Anyone can turn up, and we've got plenty of posters.
Yeah, the reason I'm saying it is because there's lots of forms of activism. There's lots of forms of helping the animals, and there's certain forms of activism that appeal.
Yeah.
Like, I've got a big mouth, I talk a lot, so I go and do street stalls.
Yeah.
But not everyone's like that. But they might want to do a protest.
Everyone's got their own sort of comfort zone, what they're willing to, even just dipping in what toe. And again, like I mentioned, my first thing was just handing out leaflets for a festival while I was playing it. Just going straight and just giving it leaflets. And people said, no one said anything horrible to me, but it was just a way of, I think it's just a nice, easy way into it, you know. Go and hand leaflets out and see what happens, and then you realise talking to people on the street isn't so bad.
No, it's like it can almost build your confidence.
Yeah.
Would you say?
Yeah, I think if you start, I mean, obviously, if you start something like a protest, just holding a sign, you're with like-minded people, you chat with them, and you realise, oh, this is quite nice. It's quite a nice feeling actually, just being around people who are like you,
yes,
who have a similar moral basis and centre to you.
Yeah, I think that's what. Lockdown's been tough for some people because they're separated from their communities, and why I also say this is there are certain people out there who their families don't support them being vegan.
No, it's
so they're kind of isolated.
Yeah.
And then I was quite fortunate. I had lots of vegan friends before I was vegan, but there is, when you go and do activism, when you go and join groups, there is something great about these people think the same as I do. These people don't wear leather. These people disagree with vivisection because it's just obvious. But it's.
Well, you think it would be?
You think it would be, but it's refreshing to meet like-minded people.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, since joining Exeter Friends for Animals, then Devon Animal Save, I've probably met literally hundreds of people. Yeah. Doing various forms of activism, and obviously along that road, I've also made many close people who become close friends as well. Mm-hmm. And that's obviously, again, it's a brilliant thing. Obviously, quite lucky. Obviously, even in lockdown, you can talk to people online at least. It's a good advantage of social media or just phones in general, that we can keep in touch. Because it was quite isolating for some people. I'm quite lucky. Everyone in my household is vegan.
That's rare, isn't it?
Quite rare. So I'm quite lucky in that respect. But obviously, some people weren't. Some people getting out of the house to do their vegan street event was their little saving thing in the week or month, however their lives were. But so it's meeting like-minded people is very important as well. It gives you a good energy, it gives you hope, and it gives you helps give you. I mean, obviously everyone's vegan because they have that. They see it's the right thing to do. But when you're with like-minded people, it just gives you that little boost, that little bit of hope. Yeah,
and for those people who are out there who are they have their own activism, there's certain activism you can do on your own.
Oh yeah.
Like chalking, you could just literally go and buy some chalk from Poundland and then
just doodle on the street.
Get them to watch Seaspiracy or basically tell them to stop treating pigs separately to dogs. So you can do singular activism on your own, but also you can team up, and there's other activism that you can't do on your own. We couldn't. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I've done the filming at the racecourse by myself. Video camera up a tree on a bridge. I don't. For me, that's not a hassle. I don't mind if someone walks past and thinks I'm weird for filming it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
But some people do feel self-conscious doing that, and some people are more content holding a poster, or some people are more content with a little group of people. Just like when you do
a petition, or
can you see me? Can you get to sign this? Or even when we've done the stuff with video footage, some people are quite happy just to hold the laptop or just just be a part of it without necessarily having to engage with the public.
Yeah.
Some people like engaging, some people don't. Some people just want to do their bit, but not silently because they're out there and that's not silent. But you know what I mean? They don't have to talk, have those debates.
Yeah, I'm comfortable with those debates, and it doesn't faze me anymore. But I understand people who are just not keen.
I mean, I'm like 50-50 with it. Some days I'll happily talk to anyone, and some days I'm like, do you know what? I don't feel talking to people today. I'll stand with a sign today. That's enough for me today. But so.
And I'm interested, what are your go-to vegan meals?
See, I don't really have meals.
You don't really have meals, okay.
Yeah, I'm a snacker.
Snacker?
I'm a snacker.
Okay, top up snacker.
So, that's, no, I'm not really a cook in any sense, unless toast counts.
I mean, toast, is that cooking? That is a good question. I mean, you're heating the bread.
Yeah.
So if you're going to have go-to toast...
Go-to toast. Yeah.
Go-to toast. What would you have on it? Like in my case, I always have peanut butter and bananas.
Marmite or the supermarket's own brand, which I prefer, actually, compared to
Well, like a yeast,
yeah,
a yeast,
yeah.
basically Marmite, but like
the version, the supermarket same versions are a bit different, and I prefer those.
okay,
But Marmite's vegan as well. Those obviously that's fine.
it is Marmite. Marmite's vegan.
But yeah, that's the go-to thing, and just whatever health food bars, whatever. Again, I'm a junk food vegan. It's not. I don't look after my health particularly.
When you said health bars, what sort of
naked
things?
bars, Trek bars, anything with a bit of protein, because vegans can't get any of that anywhere else.
Can they not? Vegans can't get protein.
No, it's amazing I'm still alive.
But don't plants have protein in them?
Yeah, but only animals can have that apparently.
Only animals can. Okay, that's fair enough. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, what you've done, Ross, is you found a chink in my vegan armor, and now I'll have to just eat dead animals now.
Yeah, because it makes more sense than it to grow like a field of soybeans and feed it to one cow than it does to just
It does, yeah.
rather than eat that yourself.
That does make a lot of sense, and the water use as well. So the water that you're going to water on the soybeans, and then you're going to water the cow.
Yeah.
You might as well just waste that water.
Yeah, I might need, and obviously the land space is fine.
Well, like the statement I like to use now is you might as well just live and let live. So you might as well just kill all the animals and just live and let live.
Live and let live, innit? Stop forcing your views on me.
Yeah, stop forcing your views on me, but you are forcing your views on the animals. So where do we draw these lines? I don't know.
Well,
wherever you want.
wherever you want, that's apparently.
Obviously, we're joking. Obviously, you can get enough protein from a vegan diet.
I'm still alive after 10 years on a snacky, junk foody diet, so
Yeah.
and fairly healthy, I should point out as well.
Yeah.
I do like long walks, and I do like to get runs occasionally, once every 6 months.
Yeah, you're very active with your walking. You do a lot of coastal walks and.
Yeah. I mean, I was like walking. It's good to get out in the fresh air in it, and just.
Yeah.
And obviously, we got lucky in Devon to have lots of nice places to go for walks. So yeah.
Is there another track that you'd like to play? On your list that you gave me, you've got Donovan, you've got the Oasis, and you've got the Beatles.
Let's go for Donovan. As I mentioned him earlier, a bit of Donovan's always good.
And what's the track called?
To Try for the Sun.
Okay, here we go. Why did you choose that song by him?
That song, it could have been a number of them. Catch the Wind's another one I really like. Ballad of a Crystal Man's another one. A lot of his early stuff, that early couple of 2 albums he did, it's very acoustic, it's finger picking, which is a nice style he has. And Try for the Sun seems to be about almost an idealistic dream of just going for doing what you want to do. I think he was 18 at the time. He used to sleep rough and just travel around with his guitar.
Oh, really?
Playing music, just basically not wanting to just be part of a system, I suppose, in a way, as in just get a job, get married, do everything by numbers, basically. It's a song about finding your. I think it's technically a song about finding your own freedom, I suppose. So that was quite. When I was 25, or 24, when I was going to music, that was quite. Those kind of that song and ones like it of a similar nature were quite awakening to me, because I've been working doing the job I've been doing for 3-4 years at that point, and I was like, it was fine. I still do that job now, actually. It's a fine job to have. It's just a job. You know what I mean? I wanted to make sure my life outside of work was fulfilling. I didn't want to base my life around work, basically. I wanted to make sure it was a life that I could enjoy.
Like a balance, almost.
Yeah, and I wanted to make sure, end of the day, when I'm gone, no one's going to care about how much money I made in my job.
No, no one's even really going to remember, are they?
No one's even good, and then not in a horrible way, but eventually time's going to forget me, so why not just enjoy my life? Do you know what I mean? My life's for living. As long as I can afford, as long as I'm looking after myself, I feel happy and secure in myself where possible, in terms of financially and where I'm living, in terms of a nice possible area.
Yeah.
I'm not doing any harm to the world, and I'm just making ends meet, and I'm good. What's the issue?
I suppose that's that actually goes against what is sort of like instilled in us, like subconsciously. Like you need to get the best job, and you need to get the highest rank in that job, and you need to get a house and tick this box and tick that box and tick that box.
I know not everyone I know who's got a house is unhappy, but I know some people have done life by numbers, and they're not. They're no happier than I am.
No.
Do you know what I mean? They're not, I'm not saying they're sad or they're depressed or they feel they've made bad choices, but on the scale of life, they're working the same kind of jobs I'm working. They're doing the same kind of things as I'm doing. They might have a bit more, bit more money in the bank, but end of the day, that could all be taken away from any of us if a government decides to add a charge on us that none of us can afford.
Yeah.
we're all at the mercy of the laws of the day. So why not just, I don't know, be happy?
Yeah, and also like linking to what you said earlier about realizing that life is finite.
Yeah.
Life's going to end at one point, so it's kind of like embrace it while you can. Almost.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of my earlier songs, specifically, again, listening to stuff like Donovan, there are a lot of songs about being in the moment as much as you can. I used to meditate quite a lot. I don't do it so much now. I should get back on that. But yeah, it's all about you've only got now, haven't you? Really? I mean, obviously you've got to be aware of the future because, as far as we know, we're healthy, so we've got tomorrow.
Yeah.
But you can't guarantee that. But why? As long as you're sure for the immediate future, why worry?
Yeah.
You can't worry. It's like you can't spend your life fearing the next 10 years, can you? Because you'll never enjoy the years you've got if you're constantly worrying about when you're 40, when you're 50, when you're 60, when you're 70.
That's very wise.
Yeah.
That's very wise.
Wow. Tesco employees have brains occasionally.
You also mentioned Oasis, Stand By Me.
Yeah.
So we'll play that one now. What sort of drew you to the Stand By Me?
Well, I think relationships are important, not just romantic ones, but friendships, family. It's nice to have some, so the simple message of having someone there for you is always reassuring. It's a nice thing. But also Oasis themselves are especially their first 3 albums, even after, they're quite a positive band. They're quite in the moment. Obviously they were young but it's almost like, I think, coming from Manchester where they did, it's like, there's making the best of the having fun, making the best of things. But also that song shows, I think the song still shows a positivity, but also a slight, deeper emotional thing of have someone you want someone to stand by, don't you? Occasionally in life, it's just quite a nice song. I like the melody, I like the lyrics. It's just it's just a nice message, nice song.
That's cool. And what we'll do is we'll finish the show by playing one of your songs. Which of your songs? I would like one of your songs about vigils, but you pick one of yours, whichever you want.
Well, we could do a vigil one. Eye to Eye with the Devil.
Yeah, say again.
Eye to Eye with the Devil.
Eye to Eye with the Devil. And what other tracks would you, if you weren't going to play that one, which one would you choose?
Oh, there's 2 which are kind of similar. Similar ilk. One's called "Come On Love One Another," which is a general song about just loving one another. Things are going to be alright in the end, kind of song. And then one's "There Goes the Sunrise," which is a bit more philosophical about. But again, it's just about it'll be okay in the end.
Let's finish with that one then. Let's finish with it.
There Goes the Sunrise, which is let's end with that one. Okay,
thanks for your time, Ross. Much appreciated.
Thank you.
And I'll catch you soon.
Will do.
There goes the sunrise, there goes the blue sky. Often I will think of you, wonder what you're up to. Soon the dawn will come around, and I will wake from the bed, wishing my dream was true. Memories dance in the midnight hours as the world is softly still. I don't know what lies beyond this journey we're upon. Is there more yet to come? Will our paths meet again? I'm sure it'll all work out. There goes the hard rain, there go the dark clouds. Today I am feeling fine, yesterday tucked in my mind. Tomorrow I might carry